My name is Russ Streiner, and I'm the founder and chairman of the board of the Pittsburgh Film Office. When we filmed Night of the Living Dead in 1967, we had the good fortune of having the experience of these years of making TV commercials and business films. So we kind of knew what we were getting into. George and I were 50-50 partners throughout the 60s in the latent image. So the birth of Night of the Living Dead was something that we had talked about internally, not Night of the Living Dead specifically, but something. And you know, we would watch Chiller Theater every Saturday night, and we're thinking to ourselves, okay, now we've got these chops from making TV commercials and business films and political films, and we've got to be able to do something that is at least like that, and somebody, Channel 11 at least bought that, so horror must be an equal opportunity entry point. And so that's how talk got started about doing a horror film. George went away, I think it was over Christmas, and he came back from a short break at Christmas time. He went to visit his parents in New York, and he came back, and he had an outline for what eventually became Night of the Living Dead. And we all threw ideas into the hat. What about this? What about that? What if this happened? What if that happened? And then George and John Russo, specifically John Russo, took all of those bits and pieces, took George's outline, and worked out the details of what became the shooting script for Night of the Living Dead. And we all agreed by that time. Carl Hardman and Marilyn Eastman had joined our group. We set up a separate company called Image 10. And Image 10 was comprised of 10 people, each putting up $600 a piece. And I have to say that with a small crew of maybe, not counting actors, a small crew of maybe 4, 5, 6 people, we knew exactly what we were getting into. And we had all worked together on a whole variety of commercial projects. So it was pretty hard to collectively throw this group a curveball that we didn't know how to deal with, especially since we had the storyline already pretty much laid out in the form of the script that George and Jack came up with. It was pretty close to that original draft. What was added is Carl Hardman and Marilyn Eastman, who had a separate audio production company from Latent Image, but we knew them from working with them. When we decided that they would be Harry and Helen Cooper, they wrote some of their own dialogue. They followed the same plot points, story points, and so forth, but they filled in some of their own dialogue. And Chuck Craig, who worked with Carl Hardman and Marilyn Eastman as an audio guy, he had some background in news. So he's the guy you see on TV and you hear his voice on the radio. He supplied a lot of his own dialogue. You know, I mean, it was basically there, but he said, well, here's how I would say it if I were reporting live.
The flesh of their victims. First eyewitness accounts of this grisly development came from people who were understandably frightened.
And so the script had those kinds of embellishments, but basically the same plot points and story points were all covered. That $6,000 that we started with was nowhere near enough to do the film, but it was enough to get us started. We were able to shoot some scenes. We were able to show some family and friend investors. They saw it and they said, you know, this is starting to look like a real movie. And they helped come up with the remaining money that we needed, which in actual cash money, the Night of the Living Dead was made on $60,000 cash. To that, we added some lab deferrals, some talent deferrals, and so forth. The overall budget tabbed out at $114,000, but fortunately, all those deferments got paid. So we talk about a budget of $114,000, but the actual cash money was $60,000, which proves to anyone that you can make movies, and you can especially make them in Pittsburgh.